support students 8 to 18 years to create their very own TED Talk. TED Ed provides resources encouraging inquiry, idea creation, exploration, sharing research, discussions, and activities. Many students together have created and presented short TED Talks in this program, either in class or at home. We would like to showcase to you the hard work that 16 students in our board have done to present to you today. So without further ado, please welcome to the stage our very talented TED Talk speakers.
Vista Hills grades students Hannah Rose, an innovative thinker with a positive outlook on all situations. A competitive student, always striving to make success and do her best. A girl who never gives up her dreams, no matter how long it may be. Enjoy.
I am the one who can do it all. They define me as someone who I was not. They label me as someone who I am not. I am one, I am all. I am the one who can change it all. They tried to tell me what I could. They tried to tell me what I can't. I am one, I am all. I will keep trying, I will win them all. I am strong, I am proud. The courage within me will conquer them all. This is a poem I made a year ago about my inspiration and education activist, Malala Yousafzai. You may be thinking, what does this have to do with my TED Talk? But don't worry, we'll get there. Now to my topic, Syrian refugees. Syrian refugees, we've all heard about them. On the news, on the radio, Snapchat feed, Instagram feed, Facebook feed, YouTube feed. But do we really know why these refugees are refugees? So let me break it down for you. Citizens of Syria, okay, you got that part, who had fleeing from their country ever since the 2011 civil war. So maybe you didn't know about that part. At first when I heard about this, I pondered on this thought for a long time as to what could people be fighting over for 6 years that is so bad that is forcing people to leave their country. After studying this topic, I finally understood and came to a solid conclusion. Power and corruption. The president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, and his allies against the rest of the Syrian citizens as they wanted a new form of government. And ever since 1971, wow, for more than 40 years, the al-Assad family has been in rule, and they have not provided any form of human fundamental rights, like education or constitutional remedies. But notice the key word in human fundamental rights? Human. Why are people in countries like Canada considered humans from birth and are given the rights they need to survive and not people in Syria? Are they not humans as well? Do they not deserve to have a future? Do we want young children remembering their childhood filled with war and hate? Canada has done their most to bring in more than 25,000 refugees to Canada, but unfortunately that is just not enough. Due to the rallies against Bashar al-Assad, the outcome of this has resulted in bombings and mass killing, and the death toll day by day is only worsening. In the month of March, 207,000 civilians have been killed. 28,000 have been killed due to bombings and mass killings, as I said earlier. The 8,000 of them were killed after being tortured, detained, and kidnapped. So while people have to fight for their rights every day, they're human and are dying. On the other hand, let me take your concentration to another fact. People like Drake in our society are busy concentrating on materialistic desires because they know that their fundamental rights are protected, like yours and mine. Now, time to invest for a property in Toronto for, I don't know, $6.7 million, 21,000 square feet, including a 44 by 94 feet basketball court, along with a gym, with a hot tub, and a pool in front of a large projection screen. And for your information, guys, it's just the basement. In Canada, we have so many accessibilities. For example, like protection for our home when a bad event occurs. Like fires and theft, we know we are protected by agencies like the government. This, however, is not available in Syria due to the corruption. This is going to sound pretty off topic, but I want to tell you a little bit about how my day goes in the morning. So I wake up, in a house with a roof over my head, and I go over to the bathroom with a toilet and sink, and then go downstairs to find my parents already eating breakfast, and then I go on my iPad to start studying. Haha, I thought I'm just joking, I'm watching Superwoman. What a psycho reference. A detail that I hope you'll all realize is that my presentation is on human fundamental rights. Well, I'm going on and on about these rights, and another question may come to your mind is, what right? Right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural educational rights, right to constitutional remedies? Because I can assure you, that would take me the whole day to discuss all the rights we deserve after how much students have suffered. All the rights are essential for any human being to survive, but today, education is my main target. Knowledge to me is one of the most purposeful things to acquire, and the only way to acquire knowledge is by acquiring education. Living in a first world country, we have a daily access to school education, and if you're in need for education, we have access to one-on-one tutoring. If you're a brilliant student, we put in extracurricular programs to further enhance our knowledge. But have you ever thought about the girls and boys who are unable to even learn their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s? Living in Canada, where we have the freedom of going to school, we often forget the privilege we are provided for the birth by starting preschool or kindergarten, that sometimes we even complain about going to school because we feel tired. But have you ever thought about the children in third world countries who are desperate to go to school their whole life, but aren't able to due to lack of resources? And I can assure you that there are 1 million girls and boys in Syria who are not receiving any form of education. So there are many reasons why the corruption in power, as I mentioned earlier. So school lunch math, now that I present to my problem, there's only one final step there made, the solution. This is where my point ties in. Ever since I heard about it, the girl was shot by the Taliban, a law that used this, and 3 years ago what she did to provide girls and with education by initiating her own campaign, Love Fund, which raised money for girls' education. Living in an unjust country where the Taliban grants truly amazes me to this day and shows me how much of good intention, patience, and determination can really store. What truly left me in awe was when Malala was in her school bus, and the Taliban shot her in the head so they could bring a message to an end and corruption could still continue. Unlike others would have sat here, she still continued to strive for her goal. Now I want to contribute to the amazing initiatives she took to stand up and represent all 64 million and above girls who go without education. Because to me, education is an identity. It makes you something who you are and can make you become something greater than you already are. Malala's very famous quote, "One teacher, one book, one pen to change the world," is a quote that I never lived up to. And after listening to her story, she has really changed my importance for education. And you may be thinking, well, what can I do to help? Well, spread awareness. Let everyone know about what's happening and how education can benefit the Syrian refugees, knowing that their voices have a purpose and deserve to be heard. Next, contribute for different campaigns to provide children with education in third world countries, for example, like Humanity First. And you might think that donating money is something that everyone does and that it doesn't really help, but every dollar does count to help someone in need. Now I want to take my inspiration one step further and to see every Syrian refugee and beyond, no matter what race, gender, or religion, to be seen in a classroom setting, sitting at a desk with a book and a pen. Now that I've told you what I want to do, what will you do next to help? Thank you.
This is my class, and there's something special about 5 of us. I'm going to start off with a little story. One day, a girl named Linda was born, but there was something special about her. She was left-handed. And a few years later, Linda attended kindergarten. There, the teachers forced her to write with her right hand, and now she is right-handed. As my mother, Linda, was telling me the story, I had one question, and that was why. Then I found this quote. I was born a sinner too. My sin was mentioned in the Bible 25 times. I tried to change, but couldn't. Luckily, society learned to accept us left-handed people by Nicholas Jerome. Just before I found this quote, I found this website with a quote from the 1900s. The title was, Stop Being Left-Handed, the Landover Baptist Church Fork. As you can see here, hell is on the left side and heaven is on the right side. This is a quick and brief summary of what the website told me. I quote from the website, approximately 10% of the world's population today is running around and telling others that they are left-handers. This is not a particularly clever move. The Bible contains several examples that God prefers right-handed people. In fact, there is much evidence that left-handers will burn in hell for all eternity. So it got me. People were scared that God was going to punish them. As I was browsing through the internet, I found all of these things that were saying left-handers are evil, weird, strange, and the odd ones out. But I still didn't understand what was so bad about being left-handed if you weren't religious. But now I do. It was all part of the culture and beliefs back in the 1900s and much before that. Unfortunately, there are still countries out there who are against people being left-handed. This is when I decided to ask all 3 grade 7 classes in my school to do a survey. And this is what I got. 86% of the people who took my survey were right-handed and 14% were both. The people who took my survey thought it was hard to be left-handed because most of the things in the world are created for right-handers and left-handers have to suck it up and learn to function with them. They gave me some specifics, such as English, since you write left to right and your hand gets stained, university desk, spiral-bound notebooks, a driver's cup holder, ballpoint pen, and knives. There were some really good responses in my survey, but there was one that stood out to me, and it was on this question. Do you think that if you are a left-hander, you will have more problems than a right-hander, such as die earlier or have a greater chance of getting a stroke? If so, why? And this person responded with, yes, lots more struggles for sure. If there is an emergency, the safety item will be on the right side, or designated for right-handed people. So if a left-hander were to use this item, they would struggle and take more time to use it, so in a case of an emergency, they could be injured or killed using it. In the early months of my school year, my art class started calligraphy. And if you don't know already, you push the pen to get a thick line and you pull the pen to get a thin line. But of course, this pen is designed for right-handers. Being a left-hander myself, I was instructed by my art teacher to do the exact opposite of what the class was told to do, which was no easy task. But I did my best and ended up getting a pretty good mark in that unit. But why should someone have to struggle in school, or anywhere at all for that matter, just because they pick up a pencil with their left hand? Now you may be wondering what these hands are for, and how people become left-handed. Well, each of these hands represent 100 million people. As you can see here, there are 7 blue left-handed pens to show you the little amount of population of left-handers in the world. Now for how people become left-handed, well, it all has to do with your genetics and chromosomes that you get from your parents. For example, both of my parents were born left-handed, so that gave me a pretty good chance of becoming left-handed, as I am. Although, studies show that if both of your parents are right-handed, then you have a 10% chance of being born a lefty. And if your father is a lefty but your mother is not, then the probability spikes up to 17%. And if your mother is a left-hander but your father is not, then you have a 22% chance of being born left-handed. And if both of your parents are left-handed, well, congratulations. You have a 25% chance of being born a left-hander. This is my class. There are 29 people in my class. 5 of us are left-handed, I'm left-handed, and so is the other 10% of the world. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Gabrielle and I'm introducing he returned home that afternoon, he was covered in thistle seeds, also known as birds. He tried to brush them off, but they kept sticking. He had to pick them off one by one, and as he did, he wondered, how do they stick to cloth? It's like they have tiny invisible claws. So he decided to keep them and study them using a microscope. He found out that they don't have tiny claws, but they have tiny hooks. Then he remembered how they stuck to his clothes, and he wondered, what if I put tiny hooks on cloth and used them as fasteners? For 8 years, Mr. DeMaster worked on his invention. Finally, he finished it, and it was a great success. Raise your hand if you have laces on your shoes in kindergarten. Raise your hand if you have Velcro on your shoes in kindergarten. Most of you did not have laces on your shoes in kindergarten. Aren't you glad he invented Velcro? I also want to talk about the zipper and how that was invented. Number 2, the zipper. Whitcomb Judson was an inventor. His friends used to say, all you had to say to Mr. Judson was, I wish there was a way to do this or that, and soon Mr. Judson had built a machine that did this or that, and it worked very well. Mr. Judson had a friend with a bad back, and every day someone had to do a very, very stubborn button for him. It was very painful. Mr. Judson wondered if he could invent a fastener that his friend could use without hurting his back. So he looked around his workshop to find something he could adapt into a new invention. He spotted a bicycle gear and repaired it the next morning. He saw how the teeth fit together. This is called meshing. This was the inspiration he needed, and he wondered, what if I make a special gear laces to fasten things? So he did, and he finished his new slide fastener in 1893. Before long, it was a great success. Can you imagine a tent without a zipper? That'd be kind of strange. Anyway, I also want to talk about the stethoscope. That one inspires me the most. Number 3, the stethoscope. The stethoscope was invented in Paris by Dr. He was sitting with a young patient, and have Jonas for a great thing being also promoted of the school. Jonas loves sports and is interested in history. Above all, he is dedicated to our environment. Let's listen to his way of helping our world.
What do you do with your stuff you do not need? Do you throw that stuff out? Pass it on to family members? Or bring it to a thrift shop? Some people believe that they should throw everything out. Well, you don't have to. I believe that one person's junk can be another person's treasure. I want people to use thrift shops more, and here are some reasons why. If you have any toys or clothes you don't need, bring them to the thrift shop and they will only sell it if it is in good condition. Just about everything at thrift shops are cheaper than the big and more popular stores. Why buy new and pay more when you don't have to? Some things might have a little rip, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy it. I have a stuffy and it had 2 rips when I got it. I still sleep with it and cuddle with it without any of the cotton falling out. It's like a stuffy that is brand new. Imagine how the world will look in the future. There will be less species of plants and animals because so many stuff that could be used again will go to the landfill. Everything that could be used again will go to the landfill. We might need another Earth. If you think everything at dumps are used, well, that's not true. Sometimes people don't like the stuff or didn't fit them when they got it, so they just throw it away. Many things at dumps could be reused or recycled. Thrift shops can really help poor countries because when you buy something, the money might go to poor countries. Or it might be used for buying food. Donating can help a lot. One little thing can make a huge difference to another person. One thing helps another person a lot. This year, thrift shops have had some very expensive stuff donated. The thrift shop in New Hamburg had a Maud Lewis painting. It was found in a donation bin and sold for just $45,000. A thrift shop in Toronto had a Master's green jacket. It was sold for only $5. The person that bought it knew it was valuable and went on to sell it for $139,000. You never know if you'll find a valuable treasure at a thrift shop. Some thrift shops are owned by a group called the MCC. It stands for Mennonite Central Committee. But they also own some churches too. My grandparents volunteer at the MCC thrift shop in New Hamburg. My Nana does the sorting and Pa does the recycling. Many people volunteer to help there. My dad thinks when I'm about 16 or 17, me and my brother will volunteer at the thrift shop in New Hamburg. Those are some reasons why you should use thrift shops more. So get donating now!
Our next speaker is
boy. Mirror, mirror, perfect. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? We all know that catchy phrase we said as kids, and even now. Well, your childhood was a lie. Reality is, the evil queen never actually said that. She really said, magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all. In effect, where people's way of thinking has changed, or has experienced an alternate reality or parallel universe, either physically or mentally. The Mandela effect. The Mandela effect isn't just a silly, infamous topic. It is real and goes into psychology, sociology, and mental thinking. Why is it called the Mandela effect? Nelson Mandela died at the age of 95 in 2013, but people seem to remember his death, but people seem to notice him passing away over and over again. Memories of his previous passings echoed through people's heads, and now people remember his death in jail in the 1980s. Society believes that the Mandela effect is just people that have really bad memory, or even memory loss. But it isn't just that when you have thousands and thousands of people that remember the exact same thing as you do. Now, anyone remember the famous book and TV series as the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears? Because it might not be called what it's really called. People recall it being called the Berenstain Bears.
People recall it being called the Berenstain Bears, but people recall it being called the Berenstain Bears, but when you look at it now, it's actually called the Berenstain Bears. One person even found an old VHS tape that has the label, the Berenstain Bears. Another mind-blowing Mandela effect is the We Are the Champions song. People remember the song ending in of the world. But when you listen to the song in any way now, the of the world never existed. The Mandela effect is getting more popular and recognized, and is leaving us questioning what reality really is. The Mandela effect has us all confused of what's really true. It seems like we're shifting from one reality to the other, and our brains are experiencing parallel universes. Since memories serve us a purpose, like how our brains build memories off of bits of information, as opposed to remembering back like a recording, our memories can be erased. The Mandela effect is not just small errors of memories. They're major parts of memory taken away from your alternate reality. This goes beyond forgetfulness. Have your memories been shifted into a different reality, or are your memories not real? Thank you. People who can help and have the power to, but don't. The different types of bystanders watcher. An instant watcher is someone who watches the event. However, instead of doing something or anything to help, they just stay and watch it all happen. An instant watcher can be quiet and silent, but they can also be the opposite. These are the guys that yell, fight, 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 which just ends up drawing more attention. Next is the instant leaver. An instant leaver is someone who witnesses the act, but acts like it never happened. Imagine a firefighter coming across a house burning down, and instead of getting the hose ready, they just leave. It's not their house burning down, not their problem. Next is the instant helper. An instant helper is someone who isn't actually a bystander, because they help and stand up. They do whatever they can to stop any bad actions going on. These guys actually make a difference. Now let's zoom in on instant helpers. If I had only one word to describe them, I know straight away what I would choose. Hero. A hero to me means having empathy, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Passion, loving something you do with a full heart. Optimism, always having a hands-on attitude. Inspiration, setting great examples that always motivates others. Determination, never ever giving up, and a willingness to make mistakes, knowing that mistakes aren't something to despise, they're lessons on how to improve. But now that I think about it, a lot of these traits describe instant helpers. Determination, because they don't give up until the bully stops. Inspiration, because they set great examples by helping others. You don't have to have laser vision or have a cape to be a superhero. But standing up for someone is possibly one of the most heroic things you could ever do. Now, I've been talking a great deal about how amazing and awesome these instant helpers are. But the question is, how do I be one? Well, there's just so many ways, like being a buddy, not a bully. Spreading awareness and discouraging bystanders. Standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. Shoving away hatred and planting the seed of kindness. Let's be the seed for a better tomorrow. So let's be heroes by stopping bystanders. I want to take these last few moments to say that it does not stop here. I hope this talk encourages you to do something. You are doing something, do more. And if every single one of us does that, we can stop bystanders together. Thank you.
She's in grade 6 at Vista Hills and loves to play volleyball, swim,
tell you. And that secret is, what if I told you that technology is affecting you negatively every day? How is that possible? Well, we use technology every day to find new locations, watch the latest bridge here like bottle flipping, and we even use technology to finish assignments at school. So, technology should be enhancing our lives, right? Well, I have to outline for you that the technology that we use every day doesn't always help us. I'm an 11-year-old girl who most people consider as a pretty active person. I play sports at least 5 days a week, and on my off days, I often keep myself busy with things like YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat. When I was younger, I did not have total control over the activities I took part in. I trusted that my parents would make the right decisions for me on how to stay active. Now my parents, like most parents, have expectations of me. Go to school, keep up your grades, try your best, and be active. Now I feel blessed and have more freedom over what activities I choose to take part, and how much I want to listen to those expectations given to me by my parents. It was just recently that I saw this picture about what sitting or being sedentary does to you physically. It was then that I thought, how much time a day am I really being sedentary? You know what I'm talking about. We're all guilty of doing things like this. Or even this. So I'm not here today to tell you to stop using all these devices that help us stay connected, but instead, make you aware of your choices. Because trust me, I love my technology as much as anyone in this room. I just recently went to a local gym and asked the gym owner how I can get to the water effects. There is a large leader in Ontario. Their name is Ophia. Ophia's goal is to advocate for policies that foster healthy, active living. Now, the company knows that if you spend all of your day just sitting down, being sedentary, and playing video games, you'll tend to have lesser grades than the people who are up and not sitting down for very much of their day. Did you guys know that 16% of children between the ages of 9 and 16 years old are overweight or obese? That number has tripled since 1980. Children who are obese tend to have a higher chance to have type 2 diabetes, asthma, sleep apnea, high cholesterol, low blood pressure, low self-esteem, and social outcasting. So since you guys will have been sitting down for almost 2 hours, you'll probably drive back home in your car, you'll probably sit down and watch TV. Maybe instead of sitting down and watching TV, you could go for a walk, maybe do a little workout or something, or maybe even a stretch. So the next time you sit down, grab a can of Coke, see how many new followers you have on Instagram, stop and think, is this really the active decision, or should I be doing something active? Thank you. Wait a second. I can't leave you guys all sitting down. We should do some stretches. Ready? Everybody get up. Yeah. I mean everyone. Okay, so first off, we're going to just stretch to the left. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to stretch to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to high our friends to the left. Woo! High the person to our right. Woo! Now we're going to jump up and down 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you guys can sit down. Good at the presentation. Stop. Wait a minute. Look at the forest. All the garbage in it. Let's demonstrate it. Stop and earn for protectable. All around the world, which is likely negligible. Some of the best species are don't litter, stop destroying nature, and finally, stop getting rid of animals' homes. Animals are dying out in Ontario. There is a long list of animals that are at risk of becoming extinct or threatened. For example, the Asian flycatcher or the American pike. In other parts of the world, the emperor penguin is endangered as well. These awesome creatures are in trials of extinction, but we can help. We can start helping these animals by protecting green spaces. Green spaces are special places set aside that are meant for people to use to enjoy spending time with nature. But they also provide a wonderful home for the dog should want. If a developer buys green space, use them into good houses. Again, this causes animals to lose their home. I'm talking to you about this because I want to stop immediately. Littering also causes animals to eventually become harmed or possibly endangered. This happens because litter is very light. It can be carried away by wind very easily. Animals may see its food, go up and try to eat it. Then it could be very sharp and rip them apart or cause them to choke. You might wonder how fish get out someday. Again, one could carry litter into lakes and springs. Fish might see its food on the surface and try to eat it. This again will cause harm to the fish. You might. Sorry. Some people throw rocks into lakes and streams. This has a good chance of hitting fish, knocking it out, and will slowly sink to the bottom or float to the surface because it would be hard and not be able to swim. The next time you're going to our wildlife, stop, take some time and think about what you've heard today. This will make a huge difference for you and the world.
I'm not brown. I'm not black. I'm not white. All those skin colors have the same values. They're not different. For your people, the races of the people together, they're different. What is racism, you ask? Racism is when you judge somebody by how they look, like skin color. I really like Nelson Mandela because he tried to make everyone treated the same. This is the way the whole world should be. The time is all I tried to do was right. These are words from Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. started when he led the civil rights movement for nonviolent acts. Then in 1955, an African American woman named Rosa Parks refused to give her people a white man on the Montgomery bus. Then she was arrested for breaking the segregation law. This made Martin Luther King Jr. think why should the black be separated from the white. Then he went on to make something which is known as the Montgomery bus boycott. This is where Martin Luther King Jr. encouraged black people not to ride these buses. Then in 1956, the U.S. Supreme Court banned racial segregation laws. Racism has happened all over the world at different times. One example in history is when the pioneers came to Canada and met the First Nations. They were so racist to the First Nations, they told them to leave the country. This led to many wars. When the pioneers had guns, many First Nations died due to this. Wars are very common due to racism. In World War II, there was lots of racism against Jewish people, and there's the Syrian War, which just happened a while ago. You can't judge somebody by how they look or talk, but you can judge somebody by talking to them. That's the only way. Remember the words of Allah. There should be no discrimination against languages, people, speech, religion, or skin color. Thank you.
Are you a child of divorce, or do you know someone who has divorced parents? I can tell you what that's like because my parents got divorced when I was 3 years old. It can happen to anyone, even you. When it first happens, it will be a little rough because it's all you can think about. It's also very new when it happens, you'll find it hard to get used to. You might miss activities with your friends such as plays or birthday parties. Also, you have to do a lot of driving from house to house. Sometimes, when you think of the happy memories, it'll make you sad, because it probably doesn't happen anymore, like if the memories of your parents still together. Same thing with the bad memories. But if people are divorced and you think of the sad memories, it makes you feel better to think of the benefits too. Some of the benefits are getting to the same holiday and to call 2 houses home. Also get 2 different rooms. I got a stepbrother and a stepsister too. Where I was the only child who didn't have any real brothers and sisters. I can play with my stepbrother and sister now.
Here's some advice if you're wishing that you had done something different. You should spend as much time as you can with everyone, because you never know what's going to happen to you. If you're living with divorce, it helps me to talk about it with other people when I'm sad. I find that calm. Try with young kids when this happens and try to tell them in a calm way. And if you have a brother or sister that have kids, you can try to comfort each other. Divorce is hard to get over, but you might even forget it ever happened. You'll find it a lot easier if you use my advice if your parents ever get divorced.
Our next speaker is Caitlin Simmel-Weagle, a learning student from Marshall Senior Public School. Caitlin enjoys baking, hanging out with friends, and listening to music. Her TED Talk is about how traveling can change a person's perspective in life and the values that can come with it. Here she is now.
The use of traveling is to regulate imagination by realities, and instead of thinking how things may be, see them as they are. A wonderful quote once said by Samuel Johnson. Let me ask you something. What have you felt whenever you travel? Excitement, wonder, the feeling of being in awe? And when you travel, do you only think about the beautiful sceneries in the country you're visiting? Traveling may seem like it's just going to another country or viewing the scenery, but it actually teaches you many values, and it changes the perspective in a person's life. In all of my 14 years living, I have learned many important values from traveling, and my life has changed because of that, and that has made me into the better person that I am today. So I've been traveling ever since I was small, and one of the most important values I've learned is being more understanding towards other people's cultures and beliefs. When you travel, you learn to set aside your prejudices and become more open to new experiences and cultures. You're not just experiencing the different foods or tasting music, but you're also broadening your perspective as you learn new ways of thinking, living, and understanding. When I traveled to Bahamas, Germany, and Malaysia, I experienced all their different ways of living and their cultures. Bahamas has beautiful beaches and wonderful weather, and the local people there are really friendly and outgoing. I remember listening to the Caribbean music, snorkeling with stingrays, eating all sorts of seafood, and visiting the local shops. And when I was in Germany, it was snowing a lot, but it was quite cold too. So I was kind of like really cold, but I had a really fun experience there as well. The people were also very friendly and outgoing, and helpful, and what I enjoyed a lot was the foods they had. But even though I really loved the food they had there, I overall just enjoyed being in the country and experiencing the local ways. When I was in Malaysia, it was very humid, but I just loved being there. I visited many temples, which were really beautiful, even though for some of them, I did have to walk really far, but otherwise it was worth the experience, and I saw many local people there and monks praying there as well. Another life lesson I learned is that traveling gives you a new outlook on life and makes you to appreciate what a wonderful world we live in. Traveling to new places gives you a sense to be more humble, and it can improve your attitude towards life in general. If you have a negative point of view of life, try traveling to a new place and see how it can change your perspective in your life. Traveling to different places not only shows you to appreciate life or to not to take things for granted, but it also helps you gain more confidence and be more outgoing as well. Most times you can challenge yourself to try new things. Whether you're staring at a menu and you have no idea as to what the foods are, or even just bungee jumping off a cliff, traveling is very exciting and you gain lots of knowledge. Try something that's new to you. It's all about having the confidence to take risks In my experience when I went to Germany, it was very hard to communicate with the locals because I don't know how to speak German. But from searching up on the internet of how to say some certain words, I managed to at least have a small conversation with other locals. For example, hello is hello, and good day or good morning is guten Tag. Even if you don't take much effort into learning the language of the country you're visiting, simply seeing street signs or hearing other locals speak teaches you a small bit of it. When you're traveling, something common that can happen is you could develop skills, such as learning to roll with it. And what I mean by that is the sooner you learn to be more And what I mean by that is the sooner you learn to go along with any challenge that comes your way, the quicker you'll be more carefree, excited, and energetic to move on to your next adventure. And sometimes when you're traveling, you become more open to meeting other people and making friends. At times you can feel discomfort because you're not used to speaking to others in general, or you're not used to being in such crowded places. But then you come to a point of realization and understanding of the real value of a global community. Back in 2011, when I went on a transatlantic cruise on the Disney Dream with my family, I remember my older sister and I were very shy, and it was always my parents who were speaking to other people. But then throughout the cruise, my sister and I began to meet safe people, and we eventually became closer with those people, and we became friends. So traveling not only helps you develop skills, but it also helps create lifelong friendships and makes you more open to meeting other people. Traveling creates unforgettable memories. Memories that will be cherished forever. The bottom line is, when you travel, you're creating a path that is memorable and makes you more open. You learn to push yourself to new limits, and you come out of your comfort zone, and most of all, you broaden your perspective as you learn. And most of all, you broaden your perspective and become more open-minded. Traveling is like a postcard because it's unique in its own way. Value the experience of traveling, and you will truly see how it will change your perspective. Thank you.
displaying my own DNA, with the shires on a Sunday sunrise. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm awkward. It's like you're in the deepest depths of the Indian Ocean, and you know you have a chance of escaping, but you don't know how to make that chance certain. You see bioluminescence in the dark water, but you can't go near it because its carrier will assign you a grade. It's like heavy metal blasting at 1.0 level because we're around Tokyo, Japan. Anxiety attacks are different for everybody, but they all leave the same mark. I can't count the endless amount of excuses I've made up to protect myself from taking these risks. And for a long period of time, I resorted to staying in my room for like 7 hours a day and not meeting any new people or trying any new things. It got really boring and I figured I could push myself to try, and I did. I've met new people, I've tried new things, and here I am in the middle of progress, striving to read just as weird for a worthy friendship. 6.8% of the global population goes through what I go through every single day, and an approximate of 20 students at our school alone experience social anxiety as well. If I ever have a daughter, I want her to march down the sidewalk like Beyonce, with confidence and pride. I want her to enter her T3-4 biology class and be able to breathe, being able to make relationships. If I ever have a daughter, I want her to know that if she trips over her own leg rushing to get somewhere, that people aren't thinking you, what a wimpy, ugly, clumsy, nasty little person, because no one actually thinks that. I want her to praise society, not fear it. I want her to know that the color of her skin or the amount of fat on her body does not determine what her self-worth is. I want to drill into her head that her critical inner voice is a lie, and it's only a bubble that feeds off of her self-doubt. I want her to know that no matter what she wears, what she determines her career to be, I'm happy as long as she's happy. I want to raise her right, because every now and then, things happen. Things that can be devastating, things that can put us in sort of a blank screen of feelings. And every now and then, those feelings that are driving on the highways of our minds crash. Sometimes those crashes are minor, and sometimes they're just chaotic. We all break down sometimes. I'm proud to speak on behalf of the world. We're human after all. I'm human. And every single day, we're on forefront, fighting pistols at our grief and surrendering to society. So, please have empathy and understanding towards others. I'm not asking for pity, I'm asking for awareness. Realize that what they may be going through may not be what you thought, because their minds are oversending and there's a battle left to be won.
I live in a beautiful home where I, at no time, have to worry about my safety. And I live in a kind community where I know I am always safe. I am a proud Canadian, but I am also very scared to be a female Canadian as I grow up. I am scared to go for my dreams as I sit in school and realize that my friends who are male could, and most likely will, make more money than me in the same job. I am scared I can't pursue my career as I try to balance family and work with a lower paying job than my male colleagues. I am scared I will have to choose a job based on pay rather than my dream job to provide for my family and myself. Canada, a democratic country, is supposed to be a place where men and women can be treated as equals in all areas of life, but it isn't. In Canada, we have a gender wage gap issue. As a female, can you imagine doing the very same job as the male coworker sitting next to you and yet getting paid 34% less? Well, for many females in the workplace, it is real, and for young women like me, it will most likely become a reality in the future. Some of these jobs include computer programmer, chef, dentist, psychologist, pharmacist, chiropractor, and pilot. Based on the gender wage gap of approximately 34% in Ontario, a woman will have to work an additional 14 years to make the same amount of pay a man makes by age 65. That is far from equal. Equal pay is even more critical for women who are single mothers. Did you know in Canada, 21% of single mothers are raising their children in poverty? Single mothers need to work very hard to pay the bills, put food on the table, provide for extracurriculars, attempt to save each year for their kids' education, all while paying for gas and transportation. This pressure, stress, and emotional pain directly affects single mothers and their children as they try to manage daily life. When mothers don't have this pressure of finances, single family life can be much more calm, peaceful, and secure for children. From my personal experience, I have seen and felt the pressure of finances from my mom as she tries managing life as a single mother with children. By denying women equal pay for equal work, our employment policies are contributing much further to this stress. I am a proud Canadian, and I believe change is possible. Equal pay for equal work keeps doors open for young women like me. Imagine the change that will happen in women's lives and its ripple effect on children and family well-being. It's 2017. Let's fix this. Thank you.
What if I could share with you the secret to happiness? It can increase your endorphins, reduce anxiety, improve relationships, and even so aging. It's free, simple, and easy to do. It is the act of showing kindness towards others. A 2010 Harvard Business School survey of happiness in 136 countries found that people who are altruistic, those who are selfless and generous, were happiest of all. There are 5 main side effects benefiting the sender and the receiver. First, it's good for the heart. Committing acts of kindness creates emotional warmth, which dilates the blood vessels. This releases a hormone known as oxytocin. Oxytocin causes the release of a chemical called nitric oxide, which dilates the blood vessels. This reduces blood pressure, and therefore, oxytocin is known as a cardioprotective hormone. It protects the heart by lowering blood pressure, all done through acts of kindness. Secondly, it reduces anxiety. In a recent study, a group of highly anxious individuals performed at 6 acts of kindness a week. After 1 month, there's a significant increase in positive moods, relationship satisfaction, and a decrease in social avoidance in socially anxious individuals. Kindness creates a sense of calm and peace for study participants. Thirdly, showing kindness towards others improves relationships. It's like weight training, and that people can actually develop the compassion muscle and respond to others, supplement the care and the desire to help. The more the muscles used, the stronger the effects of kindness are in personal and social relationships. Lastly, another main benefit of spreading acts of kindness is it actually slows aging. People who continuously demonstrate acts of kindness towards others have 23% less cortisol, and therefore are healthier individuals who age slower than the average population. No aging cream required. Not only are acts of kindness beneficial to the person who spreads the kindness, but kindness is contagious. The positive effects are experienced in the brain of everyone who witnesses acts, and preventatively making them significantly more likely to pay it forward. This means one good deed in a crowded area create a domino effect and a perfect day of millions of people. Or you could visit spread for kindness. How do you start? There are many ways to spread kindness, and many are free, simple to do, and perfect for any age. At school, acts of kindness can include saying kind words, holding doors open, sharing materials, writing positive notes, laughing often, and encouraging classmates. What's in your family? Bake or make something. Write a letter to a family member. Do an extra chore, and help your siblings with homework. Don't forget your neighbors to help a strong community. Spread kindness to your neighbors who say hi. Live in accordance with the laundromat. Inviting them for dinner. Bake cookies. And knit a special item. Not spreading kindness is more than you think, and it impacts on you and other people in many ways. Imagine how different our would be if we all worked to spread kindness like confetti. How can you make a change in the world? If you haven't, you better start now. Thank you. What if you're told that from now on, you couldn't go to school anymore and had to stay home doing chores every day, rarely leaving the house? You couldn't get your dream job and had to stop doing what you love just to get married at an early age and take care of the household? I bet none of you here in this room have. Unfortunately, however, millions of girls all over the world have and still are experiencing this injustice known as sexism every single day. Dictionary.com defines sexism as being discrimination or devaluation based on a person's gender. Basically what that means is excluding or thinking badly of someone based on their gender. So I wanted to know, how and why did sexism towards girls start? Well, as I found out, it started way back in the olden days, when the life expectancy of an average person was only about 48 years. Out of those 48 years, women spent a significant amount of time being pregnant. Because of this, they couldn't always do what men could do all the time, like hard physical labor. This sent to men doing all the jobs outside the house, and women doing all the jobs inside the house. This might be fair to some, as it splits up the work evenly, but in my opinion, it isn't fair, because not every man likes chopping wood every day, and not every woman likes taking care of the house and kids for her whole life. Sexism was also supported by influential personalities like Aristotle and Plato. Are you shocked to find out that they were sexist? Yes, indeed. Websites such as womanfree.org, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and many others say that Aristotle and Plato thought of women as being defective versions of men. This must have cemented the concept of men being superior to women even in women. Sadly, that concept still has not been fully lived out, though many organizations have succeeded in greatly reducing it and giving girls an opportunity to do what they want with their lives. In the past 4 decades or so, specific gender roles have decreased significantly, and it is not uncommon for both a man and a woman to take care of the household and work. Another question I was faced with was, why don't people rebel against this? Well, only a few do, because if you protest, there will be very few people who will support you in your uprising. Often, the rest of society will abandon you and break all contact with you. Many people would rather live a life of unfairness, physical exhaustion, and abuse than live a life of loneliness. Maslow's hierarchy is a pyramid, which shows human needs with the most important ones, like food and water on the bottom, and the more psychologically higher above them. On it, the sense of love and belonging is before the human esteem. This is why people cannot bear to be left out of their community, because they lose their sense of belonging, and that need is greater than their need, to live freely and be treated with respect. So, at what age does someone start being sexist? You may think that it starts when a child is about 8 or 9, but actually, the child is most likely exposed to sexism much younger than that. As soon as the child begins to learn, society begins to mold their minds into thinking that men and women are set up for specific roles. A lot of times, this happens even without people trying to make it happen. Take a Disney princess movie, for example.
learns focus. So from a young age, the girl would learn to take care of babies and work in the kitchen, while the boy would have played with only tools and cars and wouldn't know what to do. Not all parents do. Some let their kids play with whatever toys they want, but a lot do, because this is the way that they've been brainwashed when they were kids. So we can say that sex stuff and gender roles start implementing themselves in childhood. The media also has a big role in this. It usually portrays women as being delicate, beautiful, and obsessed with how they look. On the other hand, it portrays men as being strong, muscular, courageous, and athletic. Both of these are not true. Many women are like the men in the media, and vice versa. Even though some men and women are like those portrayed in the media, there's nothing wrong with being like that, and doesn't justify one gender being superior to the other. All of that being said, society does influence people to think positive thoughts as well, like being kind to one another, or respecting men and women alike by positive peer pressure and the guidance of their parents and teachers. So, how can we let people know the truth that both men and women are equally amazing? We can do so by raising awareness on social media, at your school or workplace, talking to people you know about it, standing up for sexist people, supporting people who experience sexism, and supporting campaigns like He for She and UN Women. These campaigns aim at creating gender equality and empowering us by giving them opportunity, education, clean toilets, and awareness. I would like to leave with a quote by everyone. Gender equality is not a woman's issue. It is a human issue. It affects us all. My dream is that in the coming generations, sexism will be a thing of the past, and the world are proud of it, and wonder why it ever existed in the first place. So what will you do to stop sexism? Thank you.
Julia is a great Sunday student at Vista Hills Public School who is extremely passionate about the world of public education. She recently won the international speech competition, gaining herself a $1,500 scholarship. In her free time, Julia likes to read, cook, and sing. Julia's TED Talk is about how the brain of a genius is different from the brain of a normal man. Enjoy.
Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. Arthur Schopenhauer. At first, when I read this quote, I really didn't understand it. And to be honest, I really still don't. But I also don't understand Einstein's theories of anything, or how Bobby Fischer can think so much ahead of the game of chess, or how Walt Disney's so creative. There are many things that I don't understand. And if I have to tell you them, we'd all be here all day long. But then I thought, how come I can't understand these things? Is it something with the brain? Well, if it is, then it has to be the thalamus. It's in charge of processing all my thoughts and making me understand them. It's got one job, just one job, and can't do it right. Wait, but then how come some people can't understand this? Is it because what's the word I'm looking for? They're geniuses. That's it. So that's why Albert Einstein can come up with all those crazy theories, and that's why Bobby Fischer is thinking so much ahead in the game of chess, and that's why Walt Disney can be so creative. It's because Albert Einstein was a genius. So were Leonardo da Vinci, Bobby Fischer, Nikola Tesla, Mary Curie, Beethoven, and Madame de Staël. This is an article. You could probably think of dozens more. Then consider the question, why are they considered geniuses? By what measure are we making this determination? Certainly, they have contributed something to our society, whether it's artistically, scientifically, or culturally. But what makes a genius? Are the brains of these individuals drastically different from non-geniuses, or just normal people? If I gave you this question, how would you solve it? I, personally, would start by writing it down, and then spend a few sleepless nights figuring it out, because of the length of the question. But what would a genius do? Consider how you approach the problem. The brain starts getting many, many ideas. Well, let's suppose the problem is easy. If your brain doesn't think of answers right, it deletes it from your thinking, and it never reaches your conscious again. Whereas in the brain of a genius, thoughts are not deleted so easily. Every single thought is considered. No matter how irrelevant or how crazy or how bad it might sound, every single thought is broken down. So what are the benefits of having a brain like this? When I heard this, I thought it would be too crowded and you would not be able to get anything done. But just imagine how much more creativity you would have if more thoughts were allowed to come through, allowing you to do so much more. Have you ever had a moment where you don't understand something? It happens to me all the time. But that's because at that period of time, your thalamus is not processing as quickly. Not that it never has, and not that it never will, just at that period of time. But in the brain of a genius, the thalamus processes so much more, and it processes so much more thoughts, which leads to so much more creativity. This is where the thalamus is, and that's where it processes thoughts. In a normal brain, there's a relative split between long-term connections and short-term connections. Long-term connections are things that are outside our interests in a more broader view, like math or science, versus short-term connections are things that we enjoy, that we're passionate about, like music, dance, or even art. In a genius's brain, this split is not equal. It always leans towards one side. And how you can tell which side it leans towards is not by studying the brain or looking at anything, just simply by looking at what the genius has accomplished. For example, someone like Beethoven's brain was probably leaning towards the short-term connection side because of his music ability, versus someone like Albert Einstein's brain was probably leaning towards the long-term connection side because of his creativity and his mathematical skills. So, after hearing about all these differences, I personally was very disappointed. I couldn't accept the fact that a brain of a genius was different than mine. But actually, STEM experts and psychologists say that there are ways to make your brain more advanced, like the brain of a genius. But how? Well, did you know that games like prodigy math and reflex math increase how much your thalamus takes in? They increase the speed. Games like reflex math are proven to increase your speed by 70 times at the end of the year, which means your thalamus is processing so much faster, which will lead it to processing so much more. And if you have a certain passion or interest or something that you just love to do, pursue it, practice it, be passionate about it, and most importantly, don't forget to enjoy it. By doing this, we're making our short-term connection side stronger or our long-term connection side stronger, depending on, of course, what the activity is. We may not reach that sky-high intellectual level, like Arthur Schopenhauer said, because genius is a target no one else can see. So, of course, we're not going to reach up there. But we can be really close, or we can try. And for me, close is better than nothing.